I still remember the smell of the room before I remember my face. Sterile. Clean. Almost comforting. The kind of place where you trust people in white coats without asking too many questions. I stood barefoot on the cold clinic floor, staring at a mirror I hadn't dared to look into since the injection. My doctor stood behind me, hands folded calmly as if this was just another normal day. "Go ahead," he said gently. "You should see the results." My throat felt dry. My hand hovered in the air before finally gripping the edge of the sink. Slowly, too slowly, I raised my eyes. My heart dropped. The face looking back at me wasn't wrong, but it wasn't right either. My jawline looked softer, less sharp. My eyes seemed bigger somehow, framed by lashes I didn't remember having. My lips, why did they look fuller? Pinker? Like they'd been brushed with color I never applied. I leaned closer, breath shaky. "No, this isn't," I whispered. My skin looked smoother, almost glowing under the harsh lights. Even my neck looked slimmer. Delicate. That word hit me like a punch to the chest. "This is temporary," I said quickly, more to myself than to him. "Right." Behind me, the doctor's voice was calm. Too calm. "The body adapts faster than the mind," he said. "You're responding exceptionally well." Responding. Like I was a machine. I turned my head side to side, watching how my features moved. Every expression felt unfamiliar. When I swallowed, my throat tightened, not just with fear but with something else. Curiosity. A strange, dangerous curiosity. "What exactly did you give me?" I asked, my voice sounding slightly different to my own ears. Lighter. Softer. The doctor smiled, eyes gleaming with scientific fascination. "An opportunity," he said. "And it seems your body accepted it." I stared back at the mirror, pulse racing. Because the scariest part wasn't that I looked feminine. It was that a small, quiet part of me didn't hate it. Leaving the clinic felt like stepping into the wrong universe. Every reflective surface became a threat. The glass doors. Parked cars. Even my phone screen when it went dark. I kept my head down, shoulders tense, hoodie pulled tighter around me, but it didn't stop the looks. They weren't hostile. That was the problem. They were curious. On the bus ride home, a woman across from me tilted her head slightly, eyes lingering just a second too long. Not confusion, recognition. Like she was trying to place me into a category that didn't quite fit. My pulse thudded in my ears. I crossed my arms instinctively, suddenly aware of how my body pressed differently against the fabric. At home, my roommate froze mid-sentence when I walked in. "Did you do something?" he asked. I laughed too fast. "What?" "No." He squinted. I don't know. You look different." "Different." Okay. In my room, I locked the door and finally exhaled. But relief didn't last long. When I caught my reflection in the mirror, panic returned in waves. My chest looked subtly fuller. Not obvious. Just enough that my old t-shirt didn't hang the same way anymore. At work the next day it was worse. Conversations stopped when I walked past. Not dramatically, just slightly. Enough to notice. Enough to hurt. Maya leaned over my desk and whispered, "Are you okay? You seem softer lately." I swallowed. "Softer how?" She shrugged, smiling awkwardly. "I don't know. Gentler." "Pret." She stopped herself, eyes widening. "I mean, it's fine," I said quickly, cheeks burning. But it wasn't fine. In the bathroom, I locked myself into a stall and pressed my palms against my face. My emotions felt too close to the surface, like one wrong comment could crack me open. When I finally looked in the mirror again, my eyes looked glossy. Vulnerable. Feminine. The word echoed in my head all afternoon. By the time I got home, my nerves were shot. I collapsed onto my bed, staring at the ceiling, heart racing. This wasn't just physical anymore. This was my life unraveling, piece by piece, into something unfamiliar, something terrifying, and something I couldn't stop thinking about. That night, I didn't turn the lights off. I sat on the edge of my bed, room quiet, heart pounding like I was about to do something illegal. The door was locked. Curtains drawn. No one could see me, but it still felt like I was being watched. By myself. By the version of me I was trying not to acknowledge. I stood slowly and faced the mirror again. This time I didn't rush. I didn't flinch. I studied myself the way a stranger would. Curious, cautious, honest. My shoulders looked narrower. My waist dipped in slightly before flaring out again. I ran my hands down my sides, stopping abruptly, breath catching. "This is just the experiment," I whispered. "Nothing more." But my hands didn't believe me. I opened my closet and froze. Tucked away, half forgotten, was something I'd bought months ago as a joke. Never worn, never returned. A soft, oversized sweater in a muted pastel shade. My fingers brushed the fabric. Soft. Before I could overthink it, I pulled it over my head. The mirror stole my breath. The sweater fell perfectly, off one shoulder, clinging gently in places I didn't know I had curves. My reflection looked natural. Like this was how my body wanted to exist. I swallowed hard. Next came the smallest experiment. Lip balm. Just lip balm. But when I applied it, my lips caught the light differently. Fuller. Glossy. I pressed them together, then froze. My expression had changed. I hadn't meant to, but my eyes looked shy. Curious. Almost playful. I practiced standing differently. Weight on one hip. Shoulders relaxed. When I moved, my body flowed instead of stiffened. I tried speaking softly, just a sentence, barely audible. The sound that came out wasn't fake. It was me. That realization sent a shiver through my entire body. I spent hours like that. Changing small things. Adjusting posture. Watching how my face reacted when I smiled. Really smiled. Every discovery sparked a mix of fear and excitement, like I was uncovering a secret that had been buried deep inside me long before the experiment began. By the time I sat back down on the bed, I felt dizzy. Not from panic. From clarity. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This wasn't just science. Something inside me had been unlocked. And I wasn't sure I wanted to lock it away again. The first time I stepped outside like that, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told myself it was subtle. Neutral clothes. Nothing dramatic. A soft sweater, fitted jeans, sneakers instead of boots. If someone looked too closely, they might notice something was different. But not enough to stop me. That was the plan. The hallway outside my apartment felt longer than usual. Every step echoed. Every breath felt loud. When I reached the street, the air hit my face, cool and grounding, and I realized how tense I'd been holding myself. People passed by. No pointing. No laughing. A few glances lingered. Some smiles. One woman nodded politely as she walked past me, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My chest loosened. At the cafe, I hesitated at the counter, rehearsing my voice in my head. "Don't force it. Just talk." "What can I get you?" the barista asked. I looked up and froze. She smiled at me. Warm. Casual. A lot, please," I said. The sound of my own voice startled me. Softer. Calmer. Not pretending, just adjusted. "Name?" she asked. I almost said my old one. Almost. Then, without thinking, I gave a shortened version. Neutral. Flexible. She wrote it down without hesitation. When she called it out minutes later, hearing that name spoken aloud sent a strange rush through me, like recognition. Like something clicking into place. I sat by the window watching people walk by, fingers wrapped around the warm cup. For the first time since the experiment began, I wasn't bracing myself. I was just existing. Later I wandered into a clothing store. I told myself I was just looking. But my hands moved on their own, brushing fabrics, holding things up against my body. In the changing room, I tried on a jacket that hugged my waist just right. I smiled before I could stop myself. Out on the street again, I walked differently. Slower. More aware. Not hiding, just present. Each small interaction felt like a quiet victory. A compliment. A held door. A casual, "excuse me," that didn't question who I was. By the time I got home, my legs ached, but my heart felt light. I sat on my bed, staring at my reflection, realizing something important. I wasn't just adapting anymore. I was growing. The message from the clinic arrived the next morning. "We need to discuss the next phase of the experiment. In person." My stomach tightened the moment I read it. All the confidence I'd been building over the past days suddenly felt fragile, like glass. I stared at my reflection while getting ready, hands moving automatically. Softer clothes. Light grooming. Nothing dramatic, but no hiding either. The question kept repeating in my head. What if they take this away? Or worse, what if they tell me this has gone too far? At the clinic, the same sterile smell greeted me, but this time it felt colder. Smaller. The doctor sat across from me, tablet in hand, eyes bright with that same unsettling fascination. You've exceeded every projection, he said. Your psychological alignment with the hormonal changes is rare. I swallowed. Is that bad? He studied me for a long moment. It depends, he said carefully, on whether you see this as a side effect or an identity shift. The words hit me harder than I expected. An identity shift. Thought of the cafe. The store. The way my body moved now when I wasn't forcing it. The calm. The recognition. I feel more like myself than I have in years, I said quietly. Silence filled the room. Finally he leaned back. Then we have a decision to make. We can begin reversal protocols now. Gradual, safe. Or, he paused. We continue. Permanently. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Reversal meant safety. Familiarity. The version of me everyone expected. The version that had always felt just a little misaligned. Continuing meant risk. Judgment. Change I couldn't undo. I closed my eyes. Images flashed through my mind. Hiding in hoodies, flinching at mirrors, then smiling at my reflection for the first time. Feeling seen. Feeling whole. When I opened my eyes, my voice didn't shake. I don't want to go back, I said. The doctor nodded slowly. Then you should prepare yourself, he said. This will become visible. Public. Permanent. I stood up, legs steady despite the storm inside me. I already am, I replied. Walking out of the clinic that day, sunlight spilling over my skin, fear still lingered, but it no longer controlled me. I had chosen. The changes didn't happen overnight, but they stopped feeling like an invasion. They felt like alignment. Weeks passed. My body settled into itself with a quiet confidence, like it finally knew what it was doing. The sharp anxiety that once lived in my chest softened into something steadier. My reflection no longer startled me, it greeted me. At work I stopped hiding. I didn't make announcements. I didn't explain myself unless asked. I just showed up as I was. Softer clothes. Calmer voice. Open posture. And something surprising happened. People adapted. Maya complimented my outfit one morning. You look really comfortable lately, she said. I am, I replied. And for once it wasn't a lie. Outside the world treated me differently too. Not better. Not worse. Just differently. Conversations flowed more easily. Strangers smiled more often. I felt seen, not as a mistake or an experiment but as a presence. One evening I met the doctor again, not as a subject but as a conclusion. You've stabilized beautifully, he said, reviewing the final data. Whatever you've become, it's yours now. I walked out of the clinic for the last time without looking back. That night, standing in front of my mirror, I took a long breath. I wore something simple. Familiar. I studied my face, my posture, the quiet confidence in my eyes. I smiled. Not because I was finally done, but because I had stopped fighting myself. This wasn't about femininity or masculinity anymore. It was about ownership. About choosing honesty over fear. About allowing change without demanding permission. I wasn't the result of an experiment. I was the author of what came next. Late at night, when the world finally quiets down, I sit by the window and think about who I was before all of this began. I remember the certainty. The rigidity. The way I thought identity was something fixed. Assigned, measured, finished. I believed change only happened to other people. Braver people. Stranger people. I was wrong. This journey didn't strip anything away from me. It revealed what was already there, waiting patiently beneath fear and expectation. Science may have opened the door, but I was the one who chose to walk through it. I've learned that transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally listening when your body, your heart, your instincts whisper the truth you've been avoiding. Courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it looks like standing in front of a mirror and deciding not to look away. If you're watching this and feeling that pull, confused, curious, afraid, know this: you're not broken. You're not late. You're not alone. Change doesn't erase you. Sometimes, it introduces you to yourself for the very first time.